live in Atlanta at the presidential debate, when we have the 46th president, Joe Biden, and the 45th president, Donald Trump. Thank you for both being here. Why has everything a crease? A small bag of chips, even candy.
I blame the pandemic. It's his fault.
He made us get the vaccine and did a poor job.
He has the largest debt than any president.
Everyone thinks we're stupid.
On a more serious note, how many looks does it take to get to a center of a Tootsie Pop?
Well, I actually know the kid in the alley. They're great friends of mine. They actually drove me here today. The answer is 3.
The answer is definitely more than 3.
Any last words, gentlemen?
I'll create more black jobs.
I don't debate as well as I used to, but I know how to do this job.
Okay. Well, that concludes our debate. What's a black job?
You do have to laugh. The reviews are in. We're talking about the press conference, which was, look, Biden did extremely well at what he's extremely good at, which is being president. I don't know where we go from there. But at Fox, the reviews are in, and, they've said Biden did well, but steady, it's bad news. Why is it bad news? Well, it's bad news for the Democratic Party. They seem to have missed the point here, by the way. President Biden is President of America. So, obviously their audience has no idea about the basics. Michael Moore, remember him? He's just done the obvious. Bad Biden, but good Biden because we need him for the presidency. No, I have no idea what he's on about either.
My next guest has called Biden's debate performance, quote, the cruelest form of elder abuse I have ever been forced to watch. Joining me now is Oscar-winning filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, do you still feel that way? Is this still elder abuse after what you saw in the press conference tonight?
Well, yes, I believe if you love Joe Biden, never should have sent him out on that stage that night. I mean, imagine if that was your father, your grandfather, or whatever. It was heartbreaking to watch a person freeze like that. It wasn't about the gaffes or flubs or whatever. It was about clearly something was wrong. And if you have parents or grandparents, if you're over 50 years old, you've seen what the decline looks like. And you can't, as George Clooney said yesterday, can't tell 51 million people who watched what we saw that didn't happen. It happened, and you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
but tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you asked about tonight. Now, tonight was the old former, the Joe Biden that we're kind of used to, except now 4 years older than he was in 2020. But, he hit his mark. Yes, he made a couple flubs, but we know that. That is Joe Biden. He's the gaff meister. But that's okay. People are not worried about that. They're worried about one thing. Trump must not set foot on the property known as 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue ever again. He must be defeated in November, and we must do whatever we need to do to make sure that happens. This isn't about being loyal to Joe Biden. This isn't about being grateful, as I am, for his 3.5 years of what he's done. I've said he's probably the most progressive president we have had in my lifetime. He has done so much good. That I don't want to diminish any of that, but you don't let somebody keep playing anything or doing anything just because they've done 30 or 40 or 50 years of great stuff. It's about how are you doing it now, and can you do it now? And the question is, first of all, he said, if people they want him to have a neurological test, he should have one. He should have that test this weekend. Don't let this go on any longer. Answer the question. Let people know whether something's wrong or not. That will solve a lot of this problem. But I think
it seems to me that tonight really is the dilemma, right? It's President Biden in a setting where he is asked a complex foreign policy question. He answers it with depth, with knowledge, with understanding. He makes some flubs. How much should people weigh a night in which, I don't know if you have quibbles with the argument that he had a cold. Let's say he had a cold and was not feeling well on the debate night. How much should they weigh that versus the Joe Biden who, on the issues that matter, can answer the questions?
Okay, we may be Americans, but we're not stupid. Please don't tell us things like he had a cold or was jet lag or any of this stuff. Don't fib to us like that. The fibbing is from the other side. That's the Trump way of doing it. Don't do that to us. We know what we saw. Something's wrong. Tell us what's wrong, if anything's wrong. There's nothing wrong with asking that question and asking, but it looks like they don't want us to know something. That's what it looks like. It has the appearance of, we don't want you to see him. Why is this the first press conference in 8 months? 8 months they've been hiding him away, keeping him away from a solo press conference with the press. Why is it that in the Michigan primary in February of this year, why did he not campaign in Michigan? Not once for 3 weeks leading up to the primary did he go to Michigan. He was afraid to go to Michigan. He was afraid because we have 300,000 Arab and Muslim voters in our state, and he didn't want to deal with that. He didn't want to deal with the campus protests, those young people just absolutely hating this war and funding Netanyahu and all that. Just wanted to completely ignore it. And because we have a governor that would not send in the Michigan State Police to club protesters and tear them out of their tents and tear gas them, that's not our governor. So they got to have their actual protests. They kept him away from Michigan for the primary. The primary, look at all the votes I got in the primary. Well, nobody saw him. And you know what, Abby, this is what happened in 2016. Hillary did not campaign in Michigan or Wisconsin. They said, no, don't go there. It'll only, upset the Trump voters. It'll remind them they've got to get out there and vote. And so she didn't campaign, and she lost Michigan and Wisconsin. And as everybody has shown, all the data shows, if you lose, I'll just quote Michelle Goldberg, the columnist from the New York Times. It just took her 3 days, spending 3 days in Detroit and Dearborn, other parts of Michigan, to say he's not going to win Michigan because he got 60% of the Arab and Muslim vote in 4 years ago in Michigan, 60%. The latest poll, 19% of the Arab and Muslim vote in Michigan is going to vote for him. It's a huge drop.
What do you think happens after all of this, though, Michael? I mean, if he were to step down, who should replace him? How should that process go? He suggests.
Excuse me, I'm not in my t-shirt. There appears to be a civil war brewing at CNN. You know, the conservative news network where people like Brian Stelter and Jake Tapper nonstop they overanalyze every single thing President Biden says. If you take, he breathed too long. He whispered. It's almost like you're taking the most extreme Fox News viewer and transplanting them into Jake Tapper and Mr. Potato Head's bonce or brain. It's crazy. Laura Coates has done what no other person at CNN is doing, as far as I can see right now, standing up for the truth, standing up for the facts. Her opening monologue, I don't know if it's by accident, I don't know how it worked, but the end result is perfect. It tells the truth, and if I was Jake Tapper, I would take this as a total shade and dig and smear at your bullshit.
Not sure what to do. Then what would you have voters do? Besides cough on live television. Hold on. Not today, Satan. Hold on. Excuse me. Now, see, if I were running for president right now, and this happened to my voice, would you say that I was no longer qualified? If this were happening and I was a candidate for office, would I be completely inept? Would you judge me differently than every other anchor who may have sneezed on air or cleared their throat differently? Would you look at it as a one-off or episodic in some way? Would you say to yourselves, this, my friends, is the very reason this person can no longer be trusted? Or would you say that maybe you'll have to wait and see how her voice performs for the rest of the show? Now, I didn't use that example willingly to make sure that you got the point and drove it home. My voice did, in fact, give out. But that's sometimes what happens. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not the one running for president, and you don't have the same standard for me.
And there was one other voice that I do have to share with you at CNN, a lady called Alison, because she reflects what I've been saying. All of this highlighting on gaffes, if Biden mispronounced the name or something, how does that really affect people's jobs, health, schools, things that are absolutely relevant, that are really important? Fiscal policies, getting things done, infrastructure, the things that really make our lives possible to live. Never mind all of this nonsense, just because individuals at CNN and Fox, they want clicks. I mean, Lindsey Graham's coming up, I promise you. What Lindsey Graham has to say, thank God he's gone down that direction. It would probably be a kiss of death if Lindsey Graham loved anything or liked anything that President Biden had to say.
Joe Biden stays in the race. I'm going to do every single thing I can to defeat Donald Trump, because as a black woman living in this country that has less constitutional rights than I had from the day that I was born 42 years ago, I refuse to live under Donald Trump's reign again. I refuse to risk our democracy. And Joe Biden is the person right now who is able to defeat him. And so when people are saying, do something to prove that you have the command of the knowledge, and you stand up and you call on 10 reporters and you answer 19 questions for 59 minutes, then I ask you, if you go and say step down, then what is the test that he must prove over and over again? Because then it feels like you, as a person who is calling for him to step down, is being disingenuous. Now, I'm not saying it's not wrong, because that debate was terrible, and Joe Biden has acknowledged that. But as people who are living with the fear of a possible dictator to take over this country, I just ask you, as a Democratic Party, and I'm not super excited about Joe Biden, but I am terrified of Donald Trump, to get it together for the people that you are asked to represent. There is too much at stake. And I don't understand what more people need after a night like tonight to say he is the leader of the free world. I sometimes on television say, like, if there go I, but for the grace of God, that I am not held to the mistakes I make sometimes on television in the days of my life. And I'm a little annoyed and I'm furious, because I talk to black people who have saved this country over and over, who helped elect Joe Biden, who saved the Democratic Party time again. And black people are saying, let it go, folks. And yet again, when you look at the people who have called for him to step down, they are not the backbone of the Democratic Party. And that, to me, is frustrating.
Can I make a psychological?
Pretty lengthy answer to about Israel and Gaza, to kind of making the case in a real way that I haven't seen him make so far, in this earnest of a way for a two-state solution. But on the sense
but it was almost totally critical of Israel.
That's his prerogative. That doesn't mean he couldn't give a coherent answer just because that's his view of it.
Is that? We remember
if every day's a cognitive exam, you got an F today. This was rambling, stumbling, bumbling. You misled the American people about the state of the world. I had no idea what you were saying half the time. So we need a cognitive test. But and about golf, I'm tired of talking about golf. Go play 9 holes with President Trump. Just play 9 holes. If you think he writes the score down before he hits the ball, you don't know what you're talking. I'm playing with him Sunday. President Trump is a very good golfer.
Bad journalism, a spokesperson said. An insider revealed growing concerns, a growing amount, the latest rumors, all bullshit, which CNN and unfortunately MSNBC are also slipping down the rabbit hole of. Is there somebody somewhere who can say something negative about Biden within the Democratic Party? Clearly, any gathering of people, whether it's left, right, center, is going to have a difference within its own organization. And there are some people probably have never said a single word, and they're thinking, oh, now's my time to get some attention. Let me run to a cable news station and say something bad about Biden, because I'll be able to use that as a clip when it comes to re-election. Because let's face it, my constituents have got no idea who the heck I am. Half the people complaining will be complaining about something anyway, and the other half are just thinking, follow the sheep, follow the sheep. It's not like James Clyburn is suddenly saying, and James Clyburn is somebody whose voice does carry some weight. Oh, get rid of Biden. No, they're fringe candidates. It's going to continue on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's going to continue for a while. It really is. But it will move on. That's my opinion. Yours?